All right. So the purpose of today's meeting is just to connect and keep those lines of communication open. You know, on behalf of the staff, we thank you all so much for entrusting your child's education and their aspirations of going to college to us. And we get so excited to do that kind of work because we understand the difference that the program makes. We understand how making your child's dreams come to life, how important that is for them and for each and every one of you. So we take pride in that work. We enjoy seeing their growth and transformation during their time in the program. And today's discussion is going to revolve around sort of how we do that and how we do that together, both from the program aspect of it, but also as a team with our families, how we work at this together to get them through high school and into college. We'll also talk a little bit about parent involvement and how to get involved over the next few months. We have a lot of activities and things that will be happening throughout the course of the year. The holidays are right around the corner, so we're excited, and I'm sure you all are excited for a little break as well to enjoy the holidays and to enjoy each other. So let's jump right in when it comes to preparing your child for college, right? Um, the great thing is that there's a lot of options. As I always tell students, um, it's all going to depend on how well they do in high school in terms of what options and what doors are going to open up when it comes to going to college. The better our students do in school, the more options they're going to have when it comes to applying to colleges and getting into those colleges. Um, but regardless of if you're a 4.0 GPA, if a student has a 4.0 GPA, a 3.0 GPA, or even in the twos, we're going to find a place for you. But what we always try to stress is that the better your grades, the better schools you're going to get into, and the more money students are going to receive to go to college. And that's why what we do is important, but also what students do while they're with us, while they're in school, and in between is so critical and so important. All of our seniors have been busy the last 2 months applying to colleges. For many of them after school, they've been coming here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and working in the computer lab anywhere from 4 p.m. to 10 o'clock at night, getting applications done. And that's what it takes, especially if you're going to apply to multiple schools and open up options for you. It's going to take a lot of work. But like anything, that work starts today, right? So regardless of if your child's in a 10th grader, 11th grader, or 12th grader, it all begins right from day one. Like all the classes count, everything matters, and so we stress to the students all the time to always get good grades because colleges are going to look at everything. All right. But I also want you to understand that there's various options. So the students can apply to 2-year schools. So that would be like your Hillsborough Community College, where you can get a 2-year degree and then transfer to a 4-year school. Or students could apply right to a 4-year school like USF or any other schools and go for a 4-year bachelor's degree, right? Um, our students end up doing a mix of both. The majority go to 4-year schools, but all options are on the table. What we always stress to the students is apply to as many colleges, see what options you have, see what the best options are, both academically and financially, and then make that decision, right? Like, of course, have some key schools that you have in mind, but at the same time, be open to the possibility that those decisions might change depending on what options you have on the table. So, Armani, I'll throw it to you because I think we mostly have parents on the line. Armani, when you think about what colleges you want to apply to, what comes to mind for you, like as of right now?
FGCU.
Okay, Florida Gulf Coast, and why did Florida Gulf Coast become a school of interest for you?
Because when we had went, the lady when she was like explaining like the criminal justice program,
Hmm.
I think that's the one she said that they were like their criminal justice was known, and like that's what I want to major in criminal justice.
Okay. So you were able to go and see the school. You
Mm,
like what you saw,
yeah, it's
and
not too big.
Yeah, not too big. They have about 16,000 students, which still sounds pretty big, but when you compare that to USF, which has 40,000 students, it's a little
Yeah.
smaller, right?
Hmm.
And all those things matter. The size of the school, the location, how far is it from Tampa, what's the cost of it? Does it have my major? Those are all the kind of questions that we want our students to be thinking about. And parents and families, these are the kind of questions we want you to conversations we want you to have with your child as they start to think about the schools they want to apply to, but more importantly, thinking through what do I want to do when I go to college? What do I want to study, and what do I can see, in terms of my career in the future? All those questions kind of lead to the right decision, and our role in that process is to help them in that figuring out who they are, what they're good at, what they should consider, taking them on these college tours so that they can really see what's out there, and have a good idea of what schools they're going to apply to once senior year comes around. Okay. Um, Other things to consider here along the way, and you know, I love to say that just by being in upper bound math science, that you're just automatically going to get into your top choice. You're going to get into some schools, but to get into the best schools, it's going to, like I said, depend on how well you do academically. And I'll give you a perfect example. Here at the University of South Florida, the average GPA of students who started here in the fall, um, so this fall freshman class, they have a 4.0 GPA. So out of all the applications, all the students that enrolled, their average GPA is a 4.0. So that's perfect, right? Um, but that just tells you how competitive it is to get into college. And so that's kind of why we have the tutoring on Saturdays, tutoring on the weeknights. Um, the 6 week summer program, all in the effort to make sure that your academics and your grades are good. So students, families, make sure that your child is coming on Saturdays. Students that are on the line, make sure that you're taking advantage, that you're showing up. You're getting help also on the weeknights when we offer weeknight tutorials. And if you need help, I'm always one. I always keep an open door policy. Send me an email, text me, call me, and let me know. Hey, my child needs help in this, or may need help, more help in that, and we'll do our part to connect them to a teacher or to whatever resources that we're aware of to make sure that they get the help that they need. I don't want to see any students struggling in silence. Let us know if you need help, and we're going to get that to you. Equally, in terms of getting good grades, you also have to get good test scores, right? So that's going to come in the form of the SATs and the ACTs that students will start taking come junior year. Right now, as sophomores, they're going to start taking the PSATs, which are practice tests to kind of get you ready for the SAT and ACT. And we'll do the same here. We're going to give you some mock exams, some practice exams, just to start getting you ready for that process of when it really counts and when these scores go off to colleges for consideration. All right. So everything in life, and that starts now with academics, but everything is about discipline. How much time are you investing in studying after school? When it comes to getting ready for tests, how do you prepare for those tests? How do you manage their time? How much time are you spending on the internet or on social media versus studying, right? And parents, I know we deal with that a lot. Just kind of seeing our children and sort of how they manage their time and how much they rely on us to kind of remind them, hey, did you do this? Hey, don't forget to do that. And part of what we're trying to do alongside with you is, as young adults, getting them ready for, hey, if you go off to college, mom, dad, auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, Dr. Cabrera, we're not going to be there to always tell you what to do. So part of what we're trying to do is making sure that you're making those good decisions when we're no longer there, um, because that's where the discipline comes into place, right? And that's why I love, especially the summer program and the residential program, because they have to get up at a certain time. They have to be in many places throughout the day. They have homework. They have to do assignments. They have to do projects. They have to work in groups. They have to work alone. All those things are in the spirit of getting you ready for college. And so, again, the more active, the more involved, the more they spend their time in the right way, the better they're going to do. All right. Financial aid and paying for college. College costs a lot of money. And in the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about, average cost and again, depending on when your child applies to college, whether it's this year, next year, the year after, prices unfortunately seem to be going up. I don't know about you, but just the cost of living in general has gotten up. Everything seems so much more expensive. I think about just 10 years ago, how much further our money went than it does today, right? And so, um, planning for college and getting ready for college is an expense. So thankfully, there's the free application for federal student aid, which is also known as the FAFSA. And this is an application that we're going to help the entire family with when it comes to senior year. We'll spend time in the computer lab filling these applications out, making sure that they're done correctly, and making sure that you're getting the most money possible to go to college. So some quick things to know about FAFSA. This is something that students apply to when they're seniors for the next year when they're about to go to college. And then it gets completed every single year while they're in college. The financial aid applications opens up October 1st of every year. So that just opened up a couple of weeks ago. So our seniors should have already filled those out, or we will be filling those out now throughout the month of November as well. Um, this Saturday coming up for Upper Bound and Upper Bound Math Science, and on November 15th, when we meet again, we'll make sure that students have completed those and we give them help if they're seniors right now to complete those. Let's talk a little bit about grants versus loans, right? The way financial aid works is depending on family income. So depending on how much you make will determine how much money or how much free money students get for college. The lower a family unit makes, the more free money you're gonna get. They're gonna offer all families, regardless of if depending on how much you make, if you make depending on how much you make, it could be that you get a mixture of some grants which don't have to be paid back and some loans, or depending on if you made more, then it may just be loans. A good financial aid package, meaning you apply for financial aid, it looks like the family has aid right now between grants, which is free money, and loans, you're probably looking at about $12,000 or so of money that you can get just from applying to the financial this FAFSA or the free financial aid website. All right, so that's some pretty good money, but it doesn't cover it all depending on where it is that you decide to go to college. And so that's why we always stress to students get good grades because then you can apply to scholarships and that's extra money. Bright Futures, which is um, depending on a student's GPA and test scores, you can also get extra money there for college. So it's all about adding these different, pots of money and pooling it together to cover all your expenses. The school that you go to will also give you some money as well. So it's all little pockets of money that you're adding together to pay for the tuition. All right. But I wanted to kind of give you a sample of what this costs. And don't get scared because there's money out there for this. But like I said in the beginning, the better our students do in school, the more money they're going to get. Everything right now centers around merit, right? Everything is merit based. You're going to get money based off of what you're accomplishing and what you're achieving. All right. But like I mentioned, there's a big difference in cost when it comes to going to community college or a four-year college. And so I want to start here at the University of South Florida, for example. And when I say the cost of going to college, I'm also going to include um, it typically is going to include tuition and how much tuition costs. So those are the credits that students take for every class that they take. So your classes. It's going to include how much it costs to live on campus and how much it costs to get a meal plan and to eat while you're on campus. All right. So if you look to the right, it gives you the average Florida, or the average public in-state university cost, right? So let's say at the University of South Florida, every year it costs about $20,000 to $21,000 a year just to come to college, right? And I mentioned it in my example that if we fill out the application and the family shows that there's financial need, you're probably going to get $12,000 just by filling out the application. It's going to be a mix of grants, it's going to be a mix of loans, all right? But as you can see, if it's $20,000 a year, there's still a gap of $8,000. So the key then is how do we close that gap? Um, Part of closing that gap is getting other scholarships. Like I said, some of those scholarships might be Bright Futures, maybe it's money that you've saved, maybe it's other scholarships that you apply to, maybe it's scholarships that the school gives to you that you decide to go to. Once you add that all up, the name of the game is minimizing the cost where either you have zero cost or very little cost, right? So that's kind of what it looks like at a 4-year school. But the name of the game is also you're going to college to graduate. And so that's a 4-year plan. And so when you times that by every single year, the total cost of a 4-year degree is going to cost about $80,000. And yes, this is a huge investment. I always say this is probably the biggest investment right alongside buying a home. Going to college, we have to look at it as an investment as well. It is everything that you're pouring into yourself. Our students are pouring into themselves to set up the rest of their life, right? So the next 4, 5, 6 years going to college is going to ensure that they get a certain job and that they make a certain amount of money throughout the course of their lifetime, right? That's why we go to college, so that we ensure a certain amount of money that we're going to make based off of what we study, right? Um, and so for a 4-year school, it's going to cost about $80,000, but every single year, the student is applying for financial aid and getting money for college. All right. So every year that money replenishes itself to pay for college. Now, the other option is to start off at a community college, which is going to be much more affordable. Um, in some cases, right? If you get a full ride, meaning if you get tons of scholarships and grants to go to a 4-year school, God bless. Go to the 4-year school and go to the school that you want to. But if you're saying that you're not getting the kind of money that you want to have, then the family has to make a decision. All right, maybe I start off at a community college like a Hillsborough Community College where the cost of tuition is a lot cheaper. Right, so look at the difference. Um, it's a drastic difference, and that figure is tuition, right? 3,520. Most likely, if you go to community college, you may live at home. And so really your only cost is paying for tuition because you're living at home and you're eating at home. And that becomes a lot more affordable, right? And so what students end up doing in that scenario is um, a 2-year degree is 60 credits, right? So every class that a student takes is 3 credits. And so that's about 20 classes they take. When you take 20 classes, you times that by 3 credits, that's 60 credits. So at a community college, you get 60 credits. And so your first 2 years at community college could be something like $7,000, and that's probably going to be completely covered by financial aid. Like I said, financial aid is probably going to give you a good, you're eligible for about 12 or $13,000. So that's going to cover almost the entire cost of community college. What students do though is let's say I get that 2-year degree, I then take those 60 credits and I transfer it for this example, let's say to USF. And so to get a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree is 120 credits. So what happens is students take the 60 credits that they got at community college, you apply it to the 4-year school, you get 60 credits when you come in, and you only need another 60 to graduate, right? So now you've kind of cut the cost of getting that 4-year degree by a lot, right? I did my first 2 years at ACC, then I transferred to USF, and then I paid, so I started off my first 2 years only paying 3,500 a month. I mean, 3,500 a year, and then I transferred to USF for the last for year 3 and year 4 for my bachelor's degree. But I cut costs considerably, right? All those options are on the table. All I'm saying is apply to all, see what the options are, and then let's come together to make the best decision for your child. Okay. And at the end, we'll open the floor to questions that you might have here. Testing, and when does testing start? We always the way these tests are designed for SAT and ACT is they're going to showcase all the kind of courses that students are taking up through about um, the beginning of junior year, right? So that's why we always tell students hold off on taking those tests because we want to make sure that you've taken all the core classes and all the curriculum at your schools so that when you see these questions on the exam, you're familiar with them. All right. So typically what we do is come junior year, we start signing students up for the SAT and the ACT exams. These are all exams that students have to take and that colleges look for alongside your GPA. When you apply to the college, they take all your information. They look at your SAT score. They look at your ACT score. They look at your GPA. They may look at letters of recommendation from teachers or from us to make that decision. But it weighs the main things that weigh heavy is the GPA and the test score, right? And that's why we always put so much emphasis on that. Um, so we want to ensure that students test at least 2 times for the SAT and 2 times for the ACT. So at least 4 times altogether. In some situations, students do better on one test or another. So that's why we um, advocate for them to take both exams just to see which one you feel most comfortable with. And every time they take the test, they seem to do better the second go around because they've taken it, they understand what type of questions are on it, and they're a little less anxious the second go around. And so we always promote them taking more than one test because chances are you will do better. All right. So as students kind of continue to move along here in high school, we'll make sure that you're taking the test. And if you need more studying in math or English or science, we'll get you help in that as well. All right. But ultimately, when it comes to senior year is then like Armani mentioned, it's all about finding the right fit. Academically, where do I qualify to get into? What kind of environment am I looking at? And that's why we do these college tours because Tampa's in an urban environment, USF is in an urban environment, Florida Gulf Coast is more in a suburban city. There's some colleges that are in more rural locations, right? So what's the right fit for your child? That's going to be a mix of do they have what they want to study? What's the social environment at that school? And does it financially make sense? And if you can kind of agree on those 3 things, then, go ahead and make that choice because it's your choice that you have to make. And it's not just a 1 year choice. We don't want you to just go someplace for 1 year. We want you to be prepared to be there to get that degree. All right. We're not here to just get you to college. We're trying to prepare you for success once you get there. All right. And so take advantage of these campus visits that we go on, ask questions. Parents, we give students questions to ask. We kind of prep them for what they're about to experience when they go on these tours. And we look forward to getting out there here soon and starting with our trips here once again. All right, but this is Upper Bound, and Upper Bound Math Science is all about discovering yourself, and discovering the schools that you want to apply to, so that once we get to senior year, everybody is informed and ready for the process. All right. So families, parents, how can you help us out? Have these conversations with your child. Talk to them about what their goals are now in high school and in the future, right? And what can you be doing now? And you're all doing a lot. And that's why we thank you so much for being a part of Upper Bound and Upper Bound Math Science, because the program is structured to ensure that you're successful in high school and that you go off to college and that we expose you to all these amazing things. So be that coach. You know, yes, we have to be tough on you sometimes, students, um, because we want the best for you, right? And so these years are so important to kind of stay on track and do the right thing and get good grades. And so, parents, yes, be that coach, be firm when you have to, but be supportive as well. Where we can support you, please reach out. We are teammates in this process, and know that we are here right alongside with you. All right, so be involved, get informed. What I want to do, as much as possible, is to also, just like tonight, make sure that you're learning, just like our students are learning about this process, that you're aware of this process as well. Even though I went to college, I sent my daughter to college this year. She went off in the fall to Florida Gulf Coast University, so she's a freshman. So just like you, I went through this process with her, and even though I've been through it, there was a lot of new things, and although we do this as a career, I still had to walk that walk and kind of this was all new for her. So I had to see it through her eyes and consider all the things that she was considering. Yes, be there as a resource, but also kind of help her make decisions, but also wanting her to feel like the decision was hers as well. But together, kind of helping as an adult, helping inform her in terms of things that she should consider, right? And I think as adults, parents, we've seen life, we've lived life a little more, so we can kind of impart some wisdom. They don't like to listen to us all the time, but they see later on when they grow up that we always have their best interest in mind. Another thing, and parents, I know in working with all of our students that we love so much, they're going through a lot of change right now in their life, right? These teenage years are not easy. Um, they're one person one day, they're another the next. They they change personalities on us all the time, but that's the beauty of them growing and them transforming. And so I think part of success in college and part of success in life, part of success in high school is just kind of, again, knowing when you're stressed, knowing how to de-stress, getting involved at school, being a part of clubs, being a part of getting involved in sports, being involved here. We try to make the experience educational, but fun as well. Um, but those skills are important for them to understand and to learn once they go off to college, that they have to learn how to self-regulate, how to self-manage, and learning how to keep balance in life. And parents, listen, we all know and we tell them, don't rush to grow up, right? Because we all know what's waiting for you as an adult. Uh, bills and work and long hours and we don't have the option to do all the things that we want to do as adults. Our life revolves around our kids and their livelihoods and their well-being um, so them learning these important skill sets in terms of how to manage and thankfully, I always say I always admire all of our students because they are resilient. They care. They're good kids. Uh, they work hard, right? But now it's about being consistent in all those different things, because that's what life is going to require of them. To be successful, you have to be consistent. And so, right alongside with you, we try to teach them that as well. All right. So take advantage of this opportunity. Um, your child is getting a lot of information, a lot of resources, but I want to make sure that you're getting those as well. But I also want our families to understand that while we have upper bound math science now in high school, these programs also exist on the college level. So TRIO is a grouping of programs. So for example, Student Support Services is the college level TRIO program. Many of the schools that your children are going to apply to have these programs. So we're going to make sure that the student knows about those programs, you know about those programs, because we want to put you in the hands of people like us that are going to watch out for you when you get off to college. All right. What they do is kind of just like us. They have workshops for the students. They have academic advising where they're checking in on their grades and making sure that you're doing good. Sometimes they have different trips or excursions as well. But it's just forming community, forming family in the college level. And so we'll make sure that you all are aware of what those programs are so that they take advantage of it. Some programs like ours here, USF has a student support services program. You can apply to SSS as a way to get into USF, right? And so USF has very high, like I mentioned, USF admissions right now, 4.0 GPA to get into USF. Through SSS, you may be able to get in with a 3.4, 3.5. So still very high, but not as high as regular admissions. So there's a lot of programs like that at all institutions. So we're going to make sure that you know what those programs are so that you get the best opportunity to get into those schools. Okay, so that's important to know. Um, and then oftentimes we invite a lot of our alumni to come back and speak to our students so that they hear their stories, their time in the program, how they got to college, and what they're doing today. We love kind of giving them that full scope because they get a chance to hear from others. Oftentimes, like we know as parents, sometimes we can say something, but then they hear from someone else and it hits home. And so, as much as we can, we try to put a lot of different people in front of them to kind of share their thoughts and give them support as well. All right. So let's make sure that we stay connected as much as possible. Even if your child is a senior, especially if they're a senior, I want to make sure that you feel comfortable in this process. But if your child is a 10th grader, 11th grader, let's make sure that as we continue to have these meetings, continue coming out to them. We'll have some of these meetings on Saturdays. As students become juniors, we really start to ramp up the college planning. Like year 1 and 2, ninth grade and 10th grade, we focus heavy on academics. 11th and 12th is really that planning for college and what are they going to study, what majors are they going to pursue, and what colleges are they going to apply to. All right, so let me stop there and open the floor to any questions. Any questions you might have on anything that I just covered, and I'll get the PowerPoint out to everybody along with this video. But any questions from the floor? Any questions? Armani, as a student, and any questions that come to mind for you? Like, are you excited for this process? Are you nervous? How do you feel about this?
Um, to be honest, I don't know.
And that's a good answer, right? Because you're not going to know what you don't know yet. A lot of it's going to come in exploring, and then kind of sometimes some of these things won't even make sense until you're in the moment of applying, and these things start to happen, right? That everything I just talked about will be situations that will come up junior and senior year, and then you're like, ah, okay, now I understand, right? But um, we try to give this to you in chunks so that it doesn't feel too overwhelming. But trust that whatever you don't understand, we're going to make sure that we help you understand it and explain it to you so that we all feel comfortable.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from the floor before I move into sort of the holidays? All right. So just some other upcoming things in general. Um, with the delayed funding this year, um, well, some good news. We've submitted all of the stipends for payment, so that should be coming right before the holidays. So that's great. That should be coming soon, actually. We've submitted that. Now it's just a matter of USF processing it and getting that to you. So stipends should be coming out anytime. So that's great. Um, Trips. Again, our plan is to take several trips. Our seniors want to express interest in going to New York City. So probably what we're going to do is probably go to New Jersey, stay there in New Jersey, do some things in Jersey, then travel to New York for some of the, Broadway shows and sightseeing. So we're excited to do that. We're just kind of fine tuning when that's going to be. It looks like it's going to be in early 2026. So we'll be going to New York with the seniors. Underclassmen, like I said, we're probably going to stay in Florida for spring break. That's probably going to be somewhere maybe in the Jacksonville area. So we'll be touring colleges in the North Florida area. And then in the summer, we are going to probably go to like the Pensacola area and see colleges out on the west coast of Florida or on the west side of Florida. And a couple more trips will probably pop up here and there. Um, so for the month of November, we meet on November 1st. So we meet this Saturday, and then we also meet on November 15th. So what we're going to do on November 15th is cater some food in for the students. We've been ordering pizzas and snacks for the first couple Saturdays that we had in October. But on November 15th, we're going to switch it up. We're probably going to have empanadas. We're probably going to have other foods. And then Parents, I'm gonna put out an email to see if you could all maybe donate some snacks and desserts for that day as well for November 15th. And so I'll put an email out to you for that. We're also going to be doing some fundraisers throughout the year. And so typically we'll do like different gift baskets or maybe tickets to a show or tickets to a game, um, tickets for Disney, some type of fundraisers. We're probably going to do a couple of those throughout the year. So be on the lookout for that as well. All right. Um, all right. Any other questions in general from parents before we close out tonight? Any questions that you might have? Everybody's good. Everybody feels good. Again, I know I can't believe that we're already almost at the end of 2025. I feel like this year came and went super fast. Um, you know, knocking on wood that prayers out to anyone that may have family out in the Jamaica or Cuba, Bahama areas that have been impacted by Hurricane Melissa. Things have been quiet here in Florida. So knock on wood that that continues for us here over the next few weeks, and that hurricane season is almost behind us. Looking forward to a blessed holiday and having the students with us on November 1st and November 15th. Our December meeting, which is, I believe, December 6th, that one's going to be one more virtual day. Um, and then, in between all that, we'll have some virtual tutoring as well. But if you don't have any other questions, that was it for tonight. I really appreciate you all joining me and